Farquaad was right. You know, somehow I'm probably going to be convinced that that's going to be the case.
Like many of you out there, Kodo and I grew up on Shrek. It's one of our favorite childhood movies. And even to this day, we both still love the movie. But man, going back and watching it again through the eyes of an adult was a really sobering experience for both of us.
Yes, very much so.
And we certainly still find the movie entertaining, but it is very clear that Shrek is inarguably subversive in ways that we just didn't realize when we were young.
And after watching Shrek again, I came to the realization that Farquaad was like totally right and totally justified in just about everything that he did.
And I think a big part of it is, regardless of the actual actions he made, the film paints him as bad. As a kid or a less discerning adult, you're not even paying attention to what he actually did or the motivation behind it. It's just, oh, the music came on to tell you he's bad. Oh, we know he's the villain.
I just love the one scene right here. A lot of you will die, but that's a sacrifice that I am willing to make.
Right. The framing is the issue here. And so to that end, the main point that I want to make to you is that in this movie, Farquaad is painted as the villain, but he is absolutely right. Farquaad is the only character with any selfless motivation in the entire movie. Because one of the things you see about Farquaad very quickly on is that his entire motivation is based around making Duloc, his own personal kingdom, as perfect as it can possibly be. Yet the show is constantly making fun of him or throwing ad hominems at him or attacking him when he's right. I mean, consider this. List out all the other motivations of the characters in the movie. What does Shrek want? Shrek wants to get rid of the fairy tale creatures that have invaded his home and return to his former lifestyle. That's what he wants. Donkey wants protection from Farquaad's men and to make friends and have companionship. And Fiona wants to break her curse and marry her true love. Now, none of those motivations are bad or evil at all, but all of them are fundamentally self-interested except for Farquaad. Because again, what Farquaad wants is order and perfection for his kingdom, and he's ultimately martyred for pursuing that noble goal.
We're gonna get into it, but the movie paints Farquaad as super selfish for wanting a princess, but we get a clear indication he is doing it to legitimize his title as king for the betterment of Duloc.
Right. And also, I don't know, in order to keep a kingdom going, you kind of need an heir, huh?
Yeah, that's a bit important.
Wait, why doesn't... I forget, it's been too long since I've watched Shrek, right? But why doesn't he just pull up with a new bitch? You know, like, why does it gotta be Fiona? She would rather be an ogre than to be with a 5'2" manlet.
Very sensible sequence of events and things that Farquaad does. All of it makes sense. But oh man, the writers desperately want you to hate Farquaad. And you see this almost instantly because they introduce him to you in a scene where he's torturing the gingerbread man. Now, if you ignore a lot of the context surrounding this, you could believe that he's a bad guy. He tells you what he's doing and why he's doing it. The only reason he is torturing the gingerbread man is to find out where the rest of the fairy tale creatures are.
Now tell me, where are the others?
And the reason why he wants them gone is because they are ruining his perfect society and, to quote him, poisoning his perfect world. Now that sounds harsh, but when you look at the things they're doing and how much of a nuisance they make themselves, all this makes perfect sense, even if his methods aren't ideal.
Chad, does this sound familiar? I don't know, like, I feel like there's 13% of an issue going on. Despite being 13%, I think they might create 50% of the problem.
But also consider what he could have done. Farquaad could have resorted to more extreme methods like enslavement or even exterminatus.
That is
true. But instead, this dude opts peacefully to relocate these guys at great detriment to himself.
Think of the cost to relocate them rather than just send them on their way or exterminate them.
Right. That clearly took resources and effort. Now, the only exception that you could point to and say, okay, Farquaad's out of line for doing this. This is wrong. The only exception is he kills the mama bear, which he uses to make a rug. And yeah, that definitely feels forced and out of character for Farquaad, but even so, I'm still willing to say that he deserved to spoil himself for a job well done. Look at how clean Duloc is. Did he not deserve this?
It's
yeah, if the cost is that he killed a bear, what are we talking about? But on top of that, if you're going to use that as evidence that he's evil for making a rug out of the bear, which ostensibly would be a threat to him because he kicked them out and exiled them, but how much more evil then are Shrek and Fiona for turning a random frog and snake who are of no threat to them into balloon animals and sending them into outer space? That genuinely happens. They blow them up like balloon animals and send them into outer space.
And tie them into a knot. Fiona ties the snake into a balloon animal.
They're just mind.
I totally forgot that happened in the film, not gonna lie. That's pretty fucked up if you think about it. Chat, how would you feel if you were turned into a balloon that had been sent to space? I don't think you would like that either. Turned on, assaulted. Oh, okay, I'm getting two polarizing answers. What the fuck?
In their own business.
At least Farquaad had the decency to kill the bear. Fiona's out here torturing snakes and frogs.
The fairy tale creatures are persecuted all throughout the movie, yet they're clearly a nuisance and don't belong in Duloc. We're shown that Farquaad hates them and wants them out, but we see clearly that it's not because of some immutable characteristic that the characters have, it's because they've poisoned his perfect kingdom. And again, that phrasing is used to paint him as a bad guy. When we look at it, it is completely logical for him to want this.
Well, yeah, and Farquaad doesn't state how they've poisoned the world, so it leads you to wonder. But then you look at what these fairy tale creatures do, and it's like, oh, I see how he came to that conclusion. Because whenever these fairy tale creatures arrive at Shrek's house, you want to know the first thing they do? They invade his home, they vandalize it, they lock him out of his own house. These people are a nuisance. Like, I can see why he'd want them gone.
This is starting to sound awfully like, was it Sweden or was it Poland? I forget, didn't a bunch of minorities enter a country as of recent and they're all military adult age or some shit like that? I don't think I ever saw a single woman or child, but this might be something that you guys don't look into, so which is fair. I mean, yeah, but at least I get to say that aliens were real because I saw them.
Now, you can call me schizo, and to be
I'm a
fair, this
schizo.
is Shrek Schizo Hour, but the more I go back and watch these kids' movies, the more I see the subtle messaging to normalize things like accepting outsiders, even to the detriment of your own people, like we see in this movie.
Well, you can definitely see in this movie, they want you to be afraid of authoritarians, even authoritarians that are benevolent, that are doing you good, that are fixing your society, even to the point of making them perfect. Shouldn't we want capable, able, courageous, strong leaders to actually fix the problems?
You can feel the postmodern undertones of this film, where individualism is so important to them that even if the society is literally perfect, it's still not enough because one guy has too much control. Because we see that after Shrek completes Farquaad's quest and delivers Fiona back to him, Farquaad honors his deal with Shrek despite having no reason to hold up his end of the bargain. Because we've seen he doesn't like fairy tale creatures, yet he is still honorable enough to relocate them, again, at the cost of his own manpower and resources to do so. And on top of that, we're going to see later, it is totally logical for him to take out this ogre, but yet he still shows honor in not only letting him live, but keeping his end of the bargain.
Now, what's even better about this is it appears as though Farquaad has been successful and has made Duloc a truly perfect place. And that's evidenced by the fact that the city is pristine. It's clean, it's orderly, it's safe, it's prosperous. You don't have Fent zombies running around everywhere. And even Shrek himself acknowledges this near the end of the movie.
I love Duloc, first of all, very clean.
And what's funny is the mirror that Farquaad brings in, whenever Farquaad says, mirror, mirror on the wall, is this not the most perfect kingdom of them all? The mirror doesn't say, you know what, this kingdom actually sucks. The mirror says, well, yeah, it's fine, you're just not a king. He doesn't reject the claim that Duloc is perfect. He doesn't. He only rejects the claim that Farquaad's a king. So naturally, Farquaad, to write this, sets off to seek a queen. To, again, as we talked about before, cement his legitimacy as king and presumably produce an heir to keep it going. But add on top of Farquaad's virtues, the fact that he is very clearly a clever dude. At the beginning of the movie, whenever the tournament scene is happening and Shrek barges in, Farquaad then says whoever kills the ogre will have the honor of going on the quest for me. But as Shrek destroys all of his men, Farquaad then says, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna send Shrek out on this quest to rescue Fiona instead of sending one of his own men.
Killing two birds with one stone, you know, that's a good idea. If he goes out there and succeed, he gets a W, And if he doesn't, well, he still gets a W and doesn't have to worry about the ogre problem. But, now that I think about it, Chad, you could be the most perfect person in the world, and you'll still have bitches that hate you because you're perfect.
And honestly, the very fact that they're having a tournament to determine this kind of tells you they live in complete peace and have security. Because typically in times of peace, they have these tournaments to keep the soldiers sharp because they're not out fighting.
Also keep in mind that the villagers were insanely entertained by this. Like, not only is he providing safety and security, but also entertainment. Come on now. Farquaad's problem is that he had no way of knowing that his bride-to-be would also end up being a slam pig for Green Kings. Truly, his only crime is being born 5'11".
I guess that really is the case. If you're below 6 feet, you might as well be considered a manlet. Oh, okay. He's not actually 5'11", Kiwi. Don't take that at face value. Bro, that is not 5'11". Chad, it's just a joke. It's just a joke. It's to show that women these days, you could be 5'11". You can even lie to say that you're 6 feet, and they won't even know the difference between the two because they're so fixated on height. It's fucking ridiculous.
Even the writers of this know a woman would rather choose an ogre than a short guy.
Oh my
People
God.
may counter what we're saying by saying, oh, well, Farquaad's an egomaniac. But I would say, given the circumstances, is that not warranted? Like, if Trump deported all the illegals, cleaned up all the major cities, and got rid of the Fent zombies, I would happily worship him as the God Emperor of mankind. I wish Trump were like Farquaad.
Well, Farquaad's not on the Epstein list, so you can start there.
That's a point
It's
for
also
Farquaad
just
not being on the Epstein
insulting
list.
that a man who did so much good for the town of Duloc died so unceremoniously. Like, after Donkey rides in and has Dragon eat Farquaad, the villagers even clap at Donkey's joke about Farquaad's death. This is so jarring when you consider that, based on the little we see of Duloc, it genuinely seems like poverty and crime doesn't exist here. The one wide shot we see of the city outside of the church paints this city as pristine. It looks like an amazing place to live.
By the way, also keep in mind that in the Shrek Halloween special, we see Duloc again after Farquaad is dead, and it's genuinely become a haunted ghost town. This man was single-handedly holding up this city, and Shrek ruined it by calling the dragon in here to eat him.
Now, since the film obviously paints Farquaad as the villain and Shrek as the hero, let's contrast the actions of these two, and it'll become abundantly clear who the real hero is. Shrek throughout this film is almost exclusively self-interested. His primary motivation is reclaiming his home for himself, and as we said before, there's nothing wrong with wanting to preserve your own home, unless you're ethnically European, of course. Farquaad is portrayed as being evil for exiling the fairy tale creatures, but Shrek literally says once he delivers Fiona back to Farquaad, he's going to build a wall around his swamp. It's funny that people get mad when Farquaad...
Wait. So, man wants to have his own peace and tranquility, but another can't? What is his rules for thee but not for me shit? This is bullshit.
To do it, but no one cares when Shrek does it.
What's kind of funny is neither the hero nor the villain in this film wants the illegal immigrants. It's almost like all of us can agree they need to go. But ultimately, the main issue spawns from the fact that Shrek is a morally bankrupt ogre, but somehow is painted as the sympathetic hero of the movie. And the whole message of the movie is don't judge a book by its cover, which is incredibly stupid. Because
I've always hated that saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Look, if some dude looks like some cracked out alcoholic that's probably, taking meth, I'm not going to think, maybe he's actually just a good guy. Why would I think that? For thousands of years, millions of years of human history and all that shit, right? We use our eyeballs to assess the situation. If we just ignore that part, then that's how we get wiped out. He's just a girl. Okay, snap. If some dude is slouching hands to toes in the street, he's a druggie. What? No, Kiwi, come on. You can't judge a book by its cover. That's not modern day age thinking for you. You gotta go back to the think tank or whatever the fuck it's called. So what if he's doing the Fenton pose? Maybe he's actually just sleeping. Thinking chair. About to be posted up like the thinker. Just, can I do that? What? Close enough.
Because the whole purpose of a cover is to inform you of what the contents of the book are. Somehow Shrek has the audacity to point the finger at others for noticing his terrible behavior and judging him for it while pretending like he isn't responsible for his horrible reputation. I mean, consider this. He takes tremendous joy in absolutely terrorizing the villagers. I mean, there's an entire music video that plays at the beginning of the movie to demonstrate just how much Shrek loves scaring people. And not only is Shrek scaring Farquaad's subjects, he kills them and eats them. I mean, he has a jar of eyeballs on his kitchen table and says that the
Yummy.
jelly from human eyeballs is actually quite good on toast.
Keep in mind, we see him eating from this jar of eyeballs before the villagers show up, so you can't say that this was a reaction to them invading his swamp.
He's just playing with his food. It's rich that Shrek laments the fact that people judge him without getting to know him, yet he doesn't pay that same courtesy to other people. I mean, he repeatedly judges Farquaad for being short, and he also judges Fiona because she didn't act the way he thinks a princess should act. Shrek is a massive hypocrite throughout this whole movie.
On top of that, Shrek destroys an entire kingdom just to get a crumb of mediocre Nookie Pop. The moment he marries Fiona, she
What
gets
the
fat.
fuck?
That's actually incredible. What did the movie mean by this?
What did the movie mean by this, Chad? If you get with somebody, if you get with an ogre, does that mean you're gonna gain 300 pounds? Maybe he fed her well. I don't know. If you gain 300 pounds at the wedding altar at the very moment your curse gets lifted, or whatever you want to call it, I don't think he fed her at all, or fed her well, or anything. Overfeeding somebody is just as cruel as underfeeding. I don't think either or is a good way of going about it. Women are just whores. That's why she got fat. Base Kiwi. All right. Guys, I'm a woman. I like how you had to preface that. Of course, not all women are whores. Just a lot of them, which is quite concerning. Not all men are financially stupid. Just very much most of them. That's why they pay for OnlyFans towards these same whores. We don't like either ors. We don't like sluts. We don't like whores. We don't like financially irresponsible idiots. This goes for both sides. We gotta stop gooting, chat. We gotta stop gooting. We gotta start purifying the world. We can't go off the beaten path anymore. I'll knock myself out. All right. But OnlyFans was normally for courses, not corn. I thought OnlyFans was originally meant for people to, or I should say fans to meet their celebrities or some shit like that, and then they just turned into a porn site. And then the one time where they made a statement saying that they're going to be done supporting pornographic content, they got so much backlash, and they're just in too deep. They can't unring the bell. They just put themselves in a position where they can't back out now. Something that always disgusts me every time I hear it is when some girl, I forgot who did this. I know this isn't the first time this happened, right? But one of the things that disgusts me when it comes to OnlyFans is when a girl who's 17, just turning 18, and the first thing she does is say, okay, my OF is live. And you got like all these disgusting people purchasing that shit. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Those first of all, those content would be made before they turned 18. So you're purchasing COD points. I'm gonna say that because I don't know if that would, if say the actual thing would get me flagged or anything, right? But they pre-ordered COD points the very moment that they turned 18 and purchasing that shit. It's fucking disgusting. Like, why are people even buying pornographic content anyways? It's free. Just look it up. It's free. Pro tip, now that I endorse it, guys, so don't do this, but pro tip, if you're looking for OF content, type whoever you're looking up and then follow with leak right after that. Not saying that you should do it, but if you're that down bad to jerk your gherkin, then, you know, that's a method of going about it. How do I know this? Xevarith. Oh, hell no, I'm not on OnlyFans. Stop right there. I'm not on OnlyFans. As to how do I know this, I know some people that have done this. That's all you need to know. I myself could not be bothered consuming such garbage. What do you mean not yet with the Zev leak?
In addition to all those bad things, Shrek is immensely selfish and has no regard for other people. Shrek gives Donkey a YouTube apology video only to get information out of Donkey. He doesn't mean that at all.
Well, he completely emotionally manipulates him because he is shutting Donkey down on every front in terms of continuing his friendship with him until he lets that slip, at which point he pretends to care only to extort that information out of him.
Right. You also gotta love the typical, well guys, I messed up. Just typical YouTube apology video.
On top of that, Shrek doesn't even apologize to Fiona for eavesdropping in on her conversation with Donkey, on top of misunderstanding it because he didn't have the context of who she was speaking about. But instead of asking, he just soys out and leaves, goes and gets Farquaad to fast track the marriage. And in the marriage scene where Shrek busts through the doors to break up the marriage, he whistles to the dragon to come eat Farquaad. And man, he is entirely in the wrong for even interrupting this marriage to begin with, just because he changed his mind last second.
Right. And to be fair, like Shrek is doing it in self-defense, but it's like if you invade someone else's home and then you proceed to engage in self-defense. You're wrong because you were in their house. You are in a place you do not belong.
Not in
So
this
the
country.
self-defense charge doesn't really work here.
I don't know, man. In some states, you have to ask them to leave before you can defend yourself.
You need to leave.
And I'm sure everyone watching this is familiar with the extremely famous line that Shrek has in this film, where he makes his little speech about how ogres are like onions because they have layers. But watching this as an adult, it rang so hollow because he simply just proclaims it and doesn't elaborate, but we're shown evidence to the contrary throughout this film. Throughout this entire movie, Shrek is bitter, he's selfish, he's mean to everyone, including Donkey, and the only person he treats well is the one girl that he just happened to catch feelings for. So, while the movie tells us ogres have layers, what we actually see is that they are exactly what humans see them as on a surface level.
This movie is essentially just telling us to ignore our lying eyes.
And the one selfless act that we do have to give Shrek some credit for is he does save Donkey from becoming Dragon's sex slave when they're rescuing Fiona, but this does not make up for how he treats him the other 95% of the movie.
By the way, what
Do we have any scalies in the chat? Any scalies in here? Would you do it with a dragon? No? Alright. Not it. Is Val here? I don't know. I thought Val was a furry, not a scaly. I'm sure Val would say yes anyways.
wild thing to include in a children's movie. That scene was crazy subversive. Like, what are we doing putting this in a kid's movie?
Are you referring to where Donkey makes a comment that makes it sound like the dragon's giving him a little sloppy toppy?
Yes. Well, he says, hey, what you gonna do with that? It's like, what are we doing, man? This is bad. But genuinely, like going back to the Shrek conversation, genuinely, what conclusion are people supposed to draw when this is the sort of stuff Shrek does on a regular basis? People are totally justified for judging Shrek, and it gets even worse in the following movies. So if you guys want and there's an appetite for it, I mean, maybe we'll look into doing a video on those at some point.
We've become hyper aware of propaganda in modern media because a lot of today's writers lack any sort of subtlety to push their message without just beating you over the head with it. But the more and more I watch 90s and early 2000s media now as an adult, the more I can see the subtle propaganda that a lot of us missed as kids.
Right. The Rock goes so far back. Hollywood as a whole really has been pushing this for ages.
Reinforcing and normalizing a nation's people to embrace outsiders and give no care to things like border security is how you end up with Muhammad being the most popular name for newborns in the UK.
The Shrek movie actually teaches us a very valuable
Damn, what
lesson,
the
which is
fuck?
that we actually should judge a book by its cover, and that we're actually vindicated when we do so. As we said before, books are given covers for a reason, and we'd be very foolish to ignore them.
Leave it to Hollywood to always pump out some bullshit message and not dealing with the consequences of it. And are surprised that people would call them out for it. But, you know, I'm not going to take that too seriously when it comes to Shrek. Yes, I will be biased. However, the Bee movie, boy howdy. Imagine being the guy who gets cheated on by a bee.
You like jazz?